Hello and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Whether you've been away for just a few months or if you're returning to us after a few years, I want to hopefully put this guide as a good getting started or welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV guide. A lot has changed, and so this guide is going to touch on a few things that I think are most critical when really kind of stepping back into the world of Final Fantasy XIV. So it's not going to go into everything, especially because I don't know your exact exit point and then your returning point. So I don't want to really try to go over too much that might seem obvious to you, whether you've been gone for, like I said, a couple of months or in this case, a couple of years. So there's a wide range here. Either way, I'm glad you're back. And I wanted to talk about Final Fantasy XIV. Especially if you've new install, like you don't have your old recovery file, so you can't get back your HUD, your UI, your layouts and all of that. I do want to point out a couple of features right off the bat, and that's once you've kind of settled into your new setup, to make sure you back up your stuff to the cloud. This is server-based backup and upload. This will allow you to take your layout and everything like that and save it to the server. Try to do this anyway. This has been a good tool. You can download this by character and overall system. So just keep that in mind, because if you're coming back, you didn't have access to this until recently. What this does is that it allows you, if you're playing on multiple devices, to be able to kind of keep those in sync without having to do too much work. And then if you ever do decide to step away with a break again, be sure to back it up so that when you come back, it's not going to actually be as challenging or overwhelming when you do return. So let's first dive in. This is just a basic character that I have, and I want to show this because this is probably going to be what you're stepping into. If you're a keyboard and mouse player, somebody who is not me, you will probably see something along these lines with these traditional hotbars. You can flip between these two very easily under character configuration, which you'll find under the system menu with a lot of tools here. But first, I want to kind of say, let's refamiliarize yourself with the UI in general. You have your traditional hotbars that you'll find down here. You have obviously movement, but you do have several things up here by default. You've got your mini map. You've got some controls here that will allow the mini map to turn on its own if you click this little gear symbol. And then you can also zoom in and zoom out for your mini map. You can control all of this under system and HUD layout. So if you want to rearrange your mini map, do anything like that, you can press Control Home to zoom your various different UI elements. You can do so actually also from the UI settings here, and you can kind of play with its transparency as well as its various size here. So you have a lot of tools, or you can just straight up hide it as well. So there's a lot of control and power here. You can see all the things that you can move around. I wouldn't recommend spending thousands of hours on setting up your UI on the first minute that you come back, because primarily you're probably going to want to go punch some things. You're going to want to go like fight some enemies, maybe do some of the content. But this is where you're going to want to try to come back and try to set up your system, set up your hotbars. There is so much here, guys. Like, this is Stormblood has been relabeled Storm HUD because they have brought a lot of quality of life improvements. One of those I do want to highlight for you guys real quick is the current main scenario quest. Underneath the Sultry, in this case, is going to tell me where I need to go for my next quest. The other thing it also tells me right below it is Harder Than a Rock. So selecting those is going to show me where I need to go on the map. In this case, I can also use the map and easily then select any of the Aetherytes to teleport. I can also, if I'm using a mouse and keyboard, control right click to be able to set flags on my minimap, and I can actually share those flags in chat where they can click on those, and then that flag is set for everybody. So if you're in a team working with any people, take advantage of this. This is going to be a huge benefit for you. If you're not a mouse and keyboard, if you're a controller player like myself, you can use the controller and press both on the left bumper and the right bumper to set your flags as well. So you have that ability as a controller player. So everything you can do on the mouse and keyboard, you can do on a controller, and vice versa. So we talked about scaling with the Control Home. You can press the right stick, press like as a click to be able to zoom those UI elements as well. So you can just keep on clicking it, and it's going to keep scaling those different hotbars there for you. So you can kind of position, you can scale, and you can even, with these hotbars, you can even rearrange how their positions, look, where things are lined up. So like I said, they've given us a lot of power with the HUD. Just the last kind of tip with the UI, you can get your inventory here, but you can also pull up your currency, battle, tomes, gear, any kind of beastman stuff from just clicking on the little gill symbol, gill symbol in the thing below. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding of where to go when it comes to the UI. When it goes to, like, obviously trying to figure out what to do next, we talked about the main scenario guide, but even in your journal, if you have quests that you complete, you can actually click on the blue icons, the blue text below the quest itself to actually have it show you where that is on your map. And that's going to be very helpful. The map has been updated so you can see all the different zones and how they connect to each other. And again, you can see what you've attuned to and what you haven't attuned to, and still from the region view be able to kind of select the different aetherytes. And again, you can also do this with a controller as well. You're just going to have to drag and drop your little cursor there as well. Hopefully that is going to give you what you need to go for getting started when using the map, when teleporting to aetherytes. But now it is time to prepare for battle. To do so, you're going to jump into your actions and traits menu. This is where you're going to find your abilities, and you can set them to your hotbar. Now, if you go ahead and use your Y button or your triangle button on the controller, you can actually then bind these skills easily to your hotbar. If you're on mouse and keyboard, you can just drag and drop those onto your hotbar as well. If you're looking for return and teleport, those are those symbols, but ideally you can kind of get those replaced because you can also access those via your travel menu under teleport and return. But I'll let you make the decision as what is best to do there. Now, before you actually head out into the battle and want to go and fight and punch some mobs, I would also recommend that you go and you take a look at your second wind ability. If you're returning with the changes, most likely this is going to be a little bit broken because these systems have replaced like older systems. And so you could see that I actually had an ability field, but it had a red X on it. So in this case, I've now equipped second wind, and I can drop down here and then I can say assign to hotbar, and now I can actually utilize that cross roll ability. So you've got a lot of abilities. They're going to unlock automatically at every level, and then you can see by level 48 you're going to have access to all 10 of these abilities. So keep that in mind. These are part of your toolkit, and it's important you probably go ahead and keep them with you at all times, and that's going to be there. If you're looking for any kind of other general or main commands, those are all going to show up in here, and you can drag those and drop those on and lay them out as well. So now if you're sitting here saying, I've got my skills set up, what do I need to do? I'd recommend just getting out here and running and finding an enemy to go kind of punch, or as a monk that I am, punch just to get the feel for how combat works in this game if it's been a while. That way you can kind of go beat up on some regular mobs, get a good feel for like where some of your positions are when it comes to these abilities, and at least try to feel somewhat more comfortable when doing that. You can obviously follow along with your main quest to see where you are, but if maybe that was a little bit higher level and you might not feel like you're necessarily ready to take that on, you can always kind of go fight some lower level enemies as well. Now, once you have everything ready and you're feeling more confident and ready to start jumping into group content, if you're still wanting to warm up a little bit with group content, I'd recommend jumping into maybe your duty roulette for guild hest, or your duty roulette for leveling, or just checking out some of your lower level dungeons that you haven't played in a while to kind of ease back into how this feels for a returning player. Now, obviously a pro tip would be to let people know that you've returned, especially if you get matched up with them. If you're a tank or a healer or even a DPS, this will help set the expectation. Be like, hey guys, it's been a long time. I'm back. I'm still kind of feeling my way through this, and it will help set the expectation so people won't end up being too concerned or worried. Like, hey, or nobody gets offended if you ask a question or if they give advice. Obviously, don't be upset with it. Take it as best and as joyful as you can. Sometimes it can seem a little bit nerve-wracking, but trust me, you're doing just fine. Just keep practicing, keep having fun. Now, if you want to get more advanced and practice more of your rotation, you can find various targeting dummies out there in the world and go and practice on them to see how it feels with your rotations as well. So this will help, especially if you're a DPS and you're waiting for a queue to pop for a leveling dungeon. this will be a huge asset for you, so you can kind of practice, get a feel, get it, and hopefully get a good groove when playing that. So we talked about low level dungeons and guild has, but going beyond, I would recommend going and checking out like your retainers. You can get these at level 20. So if you haven't done the main story quest and you haven't hit level 20 yet, you probably don't have those. Go to those, and then in the city they will guide you, and you talk to the retainer vocal or whatever, and they will help assign you 2 retainers. You can pay additional each month for more retainers, and this is where you can help them, and they'll manage your inventory for you and allow you to sell in the in-game market. And this will help be a good source of money for you, because as you acquire items that you either don't need or that have a really good value and you'd rather have the gil, you can put those up on the market and go from there. I would recommend that if you're planning on selling anything, so you go sell items on the market, that you take a good look at the price. Typically when people come in and they're like, oh, it sells for 18 or 1188, well, that's actually the price the vendor would sell it for. That's the default price. You want to go up here to compare prices, and you're going to see what people are actually selling it for, so much more than what is currently being vendored. And then if you go over here, you can actually see what people are willing to buy it for. So what's the sale history? So just keep that in mind. We see sometimes a lot of people come and sell this. If you're just going to want to vendor something, you can say have your retainer just sell the item, just vendor it for you at the base price. So if something is not really selling for much and you do need it out of your inventory, you can manage it that way. So that is your retainers. You can do a lot more with them. We do have guides specific, with the different skills when it comes to the jobs, and with the different retainers and the adventures and what you want to do with them. But I do want to point out a couple of things that it is important, whether you're returning and whether you're on mouse or keyboard, and that's a couple settings here. Under the control settings, you can say under target and under filters, you have a lot of power when it comes to what is selected when you're in combat and when you're out of combat. So while your weapon is put away, who do you want to target? And when your enemy and your weapon is drawn, who do you want to target? So this is really important to come and play with. I'm not going to make any recommendations for you. You can see what I'm using on the screen and take it however you want. But what I am telling you is that if you're finding it difficult to target the enemies that you want, play around with that. And you also have automatically lock on target, automatically phase target, and enable auto target when no target as specified. This is really critical. So if you're just playing and you're trying to target on a controller, you can just press the A button and it's going to pick the nearest target for you. On mouse and keyboard, I would recommend going into your keybinds and finding your various targeting options here. Now for me, I usually ended up saying F. The F key is my target confirm button. I'm gonna let you play around with that. That's my preference, but you can go and play around with your keybinds from there. A couple other critical settings that I would point you to: skip playback of previously viewed scenario cutscenes, teleportation cutscenes, housing cutscenes. Like, you can turn these off. So once that you've seen them one time, next time it will automatically skip those for you going forward. Really is a time saver. Highly recommended as well. Then under your inventory settings, you can see inventory interface, normal, expanded, and open all. I would recommend that if you're on a PC, I think PlayStation 4 Pro can support this as well. This will give you that full view of your inventory. There's so many settings here. There's so much for you to control. I don't want to actually dive into that now because I could feel like it could easily be overwhelming, because you are returning and you want to go out there and you want to do this content. So go dive in. And if you're looking for something fun, you have lots of emotes to collect, lots of things to do in that regard. Hopefully this has been a help, guys. My name's Brian, and this is Work to Game. Let me know if you have any tips of your own, if you have any questions, if you're a returning player or if you're a longtime vet like myself. Let's have that conversation about this game, and if I can help out in any way, please let us know. Check out our Discord server. We've got, I think, a friendly community here within the world of 14, whether you're on Primal, Crystal, Aether, Light, Dark, all the different data centers across the world. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. We really hope that you enjoy your stay. We really hope that you connect and have a good time and enjoy the story, whether you're here for just a couple of months or whether you're here for the next couple of years. Whatever you decide to do, and we hope you have an amazing time. Anyway, like I said, my name is Brian. This is Work to Game. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.
Hey guys, it's me, Brian. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you're new here, we hope you hit that subscribe button. Check us out. We talk a lot about video games, and we hope to at least hear from you in the comments below. We also try to respond to our comments. You know, we really appreciate the comments, the discussion, all the various points of view that everybody is so kindly, I guess, and politely or impolitely shares with us from time to time. So anyway, guys, again, thanks for watching this video. We hope you hit that like button. We hope you hit that subscribe button. Come back for more content each and every day. We post a lot around here, and we'd love to hear from you about what you like about video games and everything, and especially if you have any questions that you're stuck on in anything. So anyway, signing off. See you next time.